So today I'm going to do a review on my Tuff MK3 rooftop tent on a Tuff Touring roof rack on a Land Cruiser 105 series. I'm not very good at these reviews, don't really do this stuff, but yeah, this tent impressed me, so I thought I'd give it a review. I have been looking for a rooftop tent for probably 9 to 12 months. In fact, I even went to the Sydney 4-wheel drive show, took my pillow and was lying in several tents to make sure that I really like it. For me, the biggest factor was that it's a easy to set up tent, that I can use it in all weather, and that I can comfortably lie in there, have my bedding in there. I'm around 186, which is like what, 6 point something foot. So I'm fairly tall, and yeah, wanted to make sure that I am comfortable in there. This tent is around 85 kilos, at least that's what they state. I would say it's probably a bit heavier when you have all the bedding and stuff in there. And it's a bit of a wedge tail, so the front is around 19 centimeter high and the back is around 30 centimeter high. It's 225 long and 145 wide when closed. And yeah, the beauty of it is you don't really need roof bars. You can just use the kind of like Tuff Touring backbone system, which means it's lower and you save weight as well. I currently have my max tracks on top on a Alucab load bars, which fit nicely. However, Mark from Tuff Touring, where I got the tent and the rack from, has a system that is a bit better than the current load bars, with a way to mount your max tracks and your solar panel, which I don't have on there right now. Basically just going through a review, what I like on the tent, what I don't like on the tent. I have used it in almost 40 degrees. I've used it in storm on a festival where several ground tents and gazebos were actually flying off, and I slept in it. Beautiful. Used it in rain, 3 days rain straight on, and I stayed dry in it. Like I said before, what was really important for me is that I can have all my bedding in there, because let's be honest, why would you buy an expensive tent if you cannot have your bedding in there and set it easily up? I sometimes just go away on a Friday night and set it up in less than 5 minutes. I did set it up already just because it makes it easier to review, and I think if anyone looks at a tent, you probably know how to set up a tent. So yeah, nothing I really want to go through. The pros and cons, I probably just mix it up a bit and not really like group it into certain areas, because I just go through it as I go. One of the first things is it seals nicely when you close it, and it's high enough to sit in. It does have a pre-wired light, which you can see there, basically up there, and just a charging for USB and cigarette plug in there, and then it's pre-wired, and you can see the Anderson plug is underneath. Like I said, I haven't wired it up, but it makes it easier. It is set up on, I have it on 4 or 5 points mounted, and with the Tuff Touring roof rail, you can pretty much see, you can just have it moved around wherever you want to, and it sits very low. The other thing is that, let me just go down, that you can see, like I mentioned before, I don't use any load bars underneath, meaning it's very low and lighter. It mounts directly on that Tuff Touring lip, because the tent has some integrated rails from east to west, west to east, and it means that when I drive even at 110k an hour, it is super quiet. I don't hear any whistling. Yes, of course, you know, if you have a sunroof or something underneath and you would open it, you would hear it a bit, but like I barely notice it, so that's really good. Now, what I do like about the tent is that it already comes with pre-mounted kind of like guards and mounting points if you want to mount an awning, as well as you can access the tent from the side or from the back. You slide just that ladder in there. The ladder is just a standard ladder, nothing special about it. Yeah, just your typical collapsible ladder. What is good about this ladder is it comes in a nice bag that is really, really big, and it's easy to just put it in, as well as your spring poles go into a nice big bag that is really good canvas. It's good quality. The canvas itself, I can't remember, you can look it up, but it's thick, it's nice, and the whole rain fly of sunfly screen around it is one piece, meaning you have complete cover for rain and stuff in one piece, and nothing can come through when it rains. The other beauty is that, and I will show this in a minute when I get out there, you have a outer protection that you can use to cover your side entry and back entry. Then you have the fly skin, and inside you have another inside area to make it super dark and also protect yourself from like wind and cold. I slept up there in 6 degrees with my sleeping bag and my mattress and stuff, and yeah, of course it's not as warm as if you're in your house, but it's warm enough. The spring poles itself, to be honest, the system is just a normal system as always. The only thing is, given that I have mounted it on a 105 where I use my access to my back constantly for like cooking and stuff to the trunk, and I use the side entry to get in, I usually, when I set it up, I set up the top first and then push the bottom into these rails second, which makes it a bit harder, especially when you try to pull them out, because there will be a bit of tension on it when you try to pull it out. And what that did to me is, these poles were pretty long, they were like probably until here. What it did to me, there was so much tension on it when I'm trying to pull them out, the spring kind of like flipped out and just touched the roof a bit. Now pretty shit that this happened, my fault. What I did after I spoke to Mark from Tuff is I simply just cut that length that goes into this rail by about like 1/3, and now when I pull it out it doesn't have that tension anymore, yet the whole screen is still super tight, and that helps a lot. The other thing that I want to mention, which isn't probably that well thought through, is the back spring poles, as in those ones that go to the top, that are on the, that have their channel on towards the front and rear of the car. These ones would need to be repositioned if you had to have a 270 awning, which kind of would go around the back and the side of the car, which obviously with these ones in place right now isn't possible. However, and this is what I'm going to do, Mark from Tuff Touring created a different bracket system that replaces, I believe, this one with a bigger one that goes just around the corner to give it a bit of strength when you have a 270 freestanding awning, and also kind of like repositions this sail to, I think, the top, which then removes that issue of not being able to easily have the sunscreen or the rain fly screen up when you would use your 270 awning. What I'm going to do is I keep these sail tracks here and have another one on top. The top one will be used just for my spring poles. The bottom one I will just use to have just a little shoe bag or something, where I just slide a rail in there and the shoe bag will hang down. Eventually I'm gonna have gull wings on the side anyway, so I'm just gonna use all that space. The other thing that I'm changing with the new load bar system that I get from Mark from Tuff Touring is the gas struts. The gas struts are really good. However, once you have a bit of weight on there, and like I said, I have my max tracks on top, it's a bit harder to push. And also what it does is the back here, this area here on the bottom, and I show you that from the inside, is a bit more flappy, and it's not as tight anymore as straight, and that means when you're very, very tall and you lie in there, you may touch that fly screen from the inside. New gas struts will mean it's getting pushed up a bit higher, and then that will solve that problem as well. What else before I go inside? Oh yeah, so this tent has 2 latches on the back that you obviously can adjust. I was always skeptical if that's enough or not, but it's definitely enough if you make sure it's sealed enough. I don't know if you can see this, but there's literally like small dust line on here from the outside versus the inside of the seal. I have not had any problems with moisture other than when I was camping in the rain, and what happened is the water rained in here. This one was covered, so the inside wasn't getting wet, but the water came in here, and yes, it drips out through here. But I closed the tent when I left camp and didn't open it for several days, which is not the tent's fault, but it's my fault. And it meant there was some moisture, not really a lot of water, but moisture just trapped in here, and this got all a bit wet. It didn't mold or anything because I saw it quickly enough, but when I came home I just opened it. The other thing is that entire sunscreen, and or rainfly, whatever you want to call it, I don't know the right word. What's good is you can remove it entirely. You have just these 2 belts here, and then it's kind of tucked in via a sail track there on the top, and you can entirely remove it if you don't want to use it. If you want to, I don't know. I didn't have it on there in the first 2 campgrounds because I thought it's just an overkill. Now I just love it and keep it on there all the time. On top of this, what's really cool is you can replace the entire canvas should ever anything major happen to it. It's all basically just velcroed in, and yes, it is still sealed, no moisture, nothing comes in there because you obviously have that outer lip. The shell is really strong, it has a nice thick steel, and like I tried to say before, you even see that little line where the seal covers it, just a dust cover. Yeah, while I'm up here as well, just to show you, I used the AluCab load bus for now, and just with that, I think they call it a low profile feed. It's good for now, but it's not perfect because I don't know if you can see it. There is a bit of a gap between the load bar and that rail. I will change it over to the one that Mark provides now, which I really liked. The other thing is this tent has kind of like 4 latches at the front when you close it, meaning it doesn't twist like internally when you close it and try to push in one side before you push in the other side. The other thing is when you close it, obviously, like always, every tent has these bungee cords. What I'm not too sure about is, given that this bungee cord, when you don't use it, is either up here or here, will this wrap through eventually? I don't know, but what I probably gonna do is I just gonna put like a kind of like a rubber or protection around this end, just to make sure you can see the discoloration there from that bungee cord just moving on it. I'm probably gonna put some on there just to protect it, but even if, like I said before, you can just replace this entire thing if you wanted to. The tent is made in South Africa. Honestly, it's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. It's around the 7 grand Australian, but it is really, really good. I really love it. I looked for a tent, like I said, a long time. Now, maybe